Hey everyone, David here with a new review for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode entitled Principia. Okay, so obviously you can't expect a 22 episode per season show to 100% keep the same momentum that it does when it delivers a string of awesome and well-paced episodes. Because as pretty good and enjoyable as this episode was because of how well they are able to write these characters and give them some really good zingers to work some chemistry between the two of them. There were some genuinely laugh out loud moments between some of these characters within this episode. The one line that really got me to scream out loud with a loud "ha" was when Coulson made the "can't touch this" reference. It was so perfectly timed. But unfortunately, that's not going to take away from the fact that Principia is probably Season 5's first filler episode for the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. Because it reminded me an awful lot of like when you're playing a video game and it's most of the time an RPG and you have the main quest, and then somewhere down the line that main quest kind of takes like I don't want to say a fork in the road, but it's almost like the main goal gets pushed to the side and you have to do this side thing. And it's not categorized as a side quest, it's part of the main quest, but the end goal is not this other thing that was there from the very beginning. It's now, oh, you need this one thing for the thing. Or if you want to use movie terms, I'm sorry, I might ruffle some feathers here, but recently Star Wars The Last Jedi. There's a certain subplot in Star Wars The Last Jedi that I think was universally hated. I didn't hate it, but I did think it was completely unnecessary, especially because of the way that it ended up. It was like that, and I feel like this episode took a slight step in that direction where it had our team going after Gravitonium, and sure, you could see that as being a part of the solution to try to seal that dimension because it's currently being held together by that bomb from last week's episode, but it's not there to be permanent. So ever so often, there's going to be something. It's almost like a ticking time bomb. So I understand that, but just the way that the mission kind of diverts itself and the way it's presented just doesn't feel like it's on the right path, especially when you bring in this random ass dude out of nowhere from Max Pass and they're having, a good old buddy old time. They're looking at yearbook photos, and sure, that could be considered a fun moment. Some good laughs to go all around because after the very emotionally heavy episode that was last week's episode 100, we need a little moment of levity. It's just a shame that the guy who brings it is this guy, and him along with his giant ass massive teeth, I gotta be honest, were terrible. He was terrible. Is he not an actor? I mean, does somebody know him? Because I feel like I should know him, but not from acting in TV shows or in movies. I feel like he's a football player or he's something that's like guest starring and they cut him a favor or something because he was genuinely bad. And I kind of cringed every time that he was on screen, and it's a shame that they had to pair Mac up with him in terms of having this past friendship with, and I'm like, why is this guy here? I mean, yeah, he's there to maybe in the future dig up some information on cybertech, which was a really cool callback by this episode to kind of bring that circle all the way around to season 1. And it's not the only circle that this episode does, and I'll get more into that later. But it's cool that, yeah, they're trying to dig into cybertech and their past dealings, which leads to a rather fun moment of the discovery of the ship in the air like that. It kind of reminded me like a little bit of a Bioshock Infinite vibe, so I thought that was pretty cool. I shared that enthusiasm along with Coulson. Coulson's like, yeah, it's kind of cool that we're inside of a ship that's usually underwater, but it's actually in the sky. I can appreciate that. But besides that and the horse talking to Mac, there was really not much there that's out of your traditional Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode with action sequences versus these robot guys that Hale planted there and just your traditional S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Not bad, but it did remind me of a filler episode that we've had in seasons past. So it's not necessarily a new thing, and it's going to come with the territory, especially when you're dealing with a 22 episode season. I'm pretty sure that people's favorite shows, especially genre shows like this, like The Flash or anything from the CW, and of course stuff from the ABC, especially when you're dealing with a show that's each episode's an hour long, there's bound to be one where they stretch some things thin and it doesn't really match up to par with the quality that you got in other episodes. So The backside here of Coulson and his team trying to grab Gravitonium, there was really nothing really new to take away from there, except for the fact that Deke figured out that Fitz and Simmons are his grandparents, which I think came a little sooner than expected. I was expecting that to be drawn a little longer, and I wouldn't have minded that, but it's a little surprising to see that here, thanks to the anomaly, he was able to kind of put two and two together with those famous words. You know, your first steps don't have to be big, they just have to get you in the right direction. That really rung true with him, and it's cool to see that curious look in his eye, like, holy shit, you know, these two that were giving me such a hard time mean probably the world to me, and now this is just as important as it is to find grass out in the outside. And boy, the Deke, I gotta be honest, I think that maybe in the long run, it might be better that he found out sooner than expected, because boy, the Deke needed this to win me over in this episode, because holy shit, he was being annoying. I was totally on Fitz's side, who wanted to kick his ass and get him out of there, because he was just being obnoxious and annoying, and I was trying to sympathize with Deke because of all the new discoveries that he's making, but at this point, it was working in the last episode, and now he's getting to that annoying level that I remember Deke being even up in space. And boy, did he need that final revelation to kind of redeem him. I mean, at that point, I was kind of wishing that they would have just sidetracked his character altogether out of the episode, because from what I could tell, the actor, Jeff Ward, I think he was sick or something, because was it just me, or did I notice that his voice was completely hoarse and all that throughout the entire episode? And I don't like it when they do that. I understand you guys have to commit to a schedule and you're feeling fine, but it kind of takes us out of the experience knowing that it's not the character, but it's the actor who's sick, and it's like, oh, well, now I'm seeing an actor trying to act, not a character. Now, that was one half of the episode. The other half, I won't say was better or worse, but it was much, much, much more interesting, because it did something that, for one, I wasn't really expecting, which is to bring back a character that, again, doing the traditional things that S.H.I.E.L.D. always does, is actually sometimes catching us off guard with a character that you thought, oh, they're gone, they're not going to appear again. Oh shit, there they are. Von Strucker's kid from, I think, either the end of Season 1 or beginnings of Season 2, I want to say, who was tortured by Ward in that machine, gets brought back, and he is completely unstable. The perfect candidate for S.H.I.E.L.D. to go after. So he's one of the members that she's trying to recruit, along with the Absorbing Man, and of course, Dove Cameron's character, who continues to freak me out with her look. I swear to God, she looks fake. I'm sorry. She's winning me over with the type of character that she is. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit different, but I still can't get over her super polished look. I hope it'll be cool that her skin is just so clear, because at the end she is a robot. That'll be a cool twist. I would dig that. But for the time being, they're recruiting this brand new guy and learning his powers, about how he's able to remember even the tiniest details, even the most sensory things. I thought it was pretty interesting. And sure, it didn't go too far, and he's part of the team, and more could be expected from that in episodes to come, but there's no denying that that was probably the most interesting part of the episode, as opposed to the things that we were already expecting from the team to do, which is to save the day, grab the Gratitonium, and look at that, even Max got some arms to help out Yo-Yo. Now, the one little MacGuffin or thing that the S.H.I.E.L.D. team members here kind of planted are those anomalies. I'm looking forward to seeing how those anomalies are going to affect the crew and are going to affect the storyline, because considering that ever so often they're going to release a wave of things that could not be real, because some things are going to be on the nose, not real, like the Kree showing up out of nowhere, Deke's mother showing up out of nowhere, knowing damn well, even he recognized that first, he's like, no, you're not real, and they let his guard down. But I want to see if later on they're going to try to fool these characters by showing some things that could definitely be real, but there's like one particular detail that's kind of off. I'm looking forward to that more. And I was actually thinking about that more than I was currently with this episode, because as good and enjoyable as it was a filler episode. There's no getting around it. So I'm going to be giving Principia a very, very high 7 out of 10. Significant drop from the quality of last week's episode, but you expect this to happen, and most notably, I think you expect it to happen in the second half of almost every season. And I think the only episode that got almost to an extent got away with there almost being no filler episodes was last season, because they split it up into 3 pods. Here we're only dealing with 2, and I believe we did have at least 1 filler episode during the space saga of the first half. So hopefully this will be the only one before we finally get things rolling in a much better and tighter pace, so that we can finally see our team going up against S.H.I.E.L.D's new recruits. So please let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this week's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Please post in the comments, do you agree with me that it was a filler episode, or am I just the one taking crazy pills here? Please post in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you show your support for this video by hitting the like and share button. And of course, subscribe for more S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews coming in the next few weeks. And happy St. Patrick's Day. Unless you're not watching this on St. Patrick's Day, then just continue drinking, like I'm pretty sure you are. Pressing the same punch buttons or doing the same combos over and over, eventually it wears out thin, especially when you go through like 5 or 6 waves of enemies and you don't exactly know when the level's going to end. It starts to get a little infuriating. Did I die? Oh, wow, I wasn't even paying attention to my health. Goodness gracious. Oh, for that fucking sake.